Welcome to the 2020 Viking Festival. I'm Margaret, a member of the Daughters of Norway Hulda Lodge. Post-pandemic, we will meet the second Saturday of each month in Fallbrook. We begin with a business meeting at 10 o'clock, followed by a cultural program and a potluck lunch. Daughters of Norway is open to women of Scandinavian heritage. I have learned so much about Scandinavian culture, heritage, and history, such as Christmas traditions, knitting, felting, rose mauling, and Norway and during World War II, all while developing great friendships. Please consider joining us. I'm happy to have you join me for this Krumkake demonstration. Krumkake is a cookie made on an iron. My mother made Krumkake every Christmas along with several other types of cookies. In Norway, it is traditional to make 7 types of cookies during the Christmas holidays so that you are ready for any company that may come by. There are many different recipes available for Krumkake, but I'm going to be using our family recipe, which includes whipping cream, which is unusual and in not all Krumkake recipes. We also use both vanilla and cardamom in our Krumkake, and these are the cardamom spice, the cardamom pods, which then we would break open and get the cardamom seeds out and grind them. I usually use a coffee grinder just for my spices, and then we end up with the cardamom spice that we can use in all of our cardamom bacon. There we go. We open it up to get the cardamom seeds that we would grind up to use as the spice. The Scandinavians use cardamom in lots of different cookies and variety of things. It's a very popular spice and it's used in a lot of things. So here goes the recipe. The first thing is 3 eggs. So we dump 3 eggs and we have to beat those until they're nice and fluffy. There. Now after it gets nice and fluffy, I add in 1 cup of sugar. And then I'm going to go get my melted butter. So 1/2 cup of melted butter. Get that louder. And when that's all mixed in, then we'll add our whipping cream. So in this, I have my 3 eggs, which we beat till they're nice and fluffy and airy. Then I add 1 cup of sugar, get that until it's all incorporated, and then I add a 1/2 cup of melted butter, which has been cooled. And then now I'm going to fold in the whipped cream, which I've already made, fluffed up, and you want to fold it in because the purpose is to keep the air in there because you want your Krumkake nice and light and fluffy so that they can be nice and thin. So I'm just going to fold this in, and after I fold that in, I'll be putting in my spices, that cardamom and the vanilla that is so traditional. Some people just put vanilla in, some people put only cardamom in, some people just use nutmeg. But in our family, we use the cardamom and vanilla. So now I've got the whipping cream folded in nicely, and now we'll put a 1/2 teaspoon each of the vanilla and the cardamom. And as you can see, there's not very many ingredients to these things, and that's kind of typical with all Scandinavian baked goods. There's not a lot of ingredients. It's pretty much butter, eggs, sugar, flour, always seems to be cardamom, and then maybe some additional things. So I'm going to fold that in. And now let's put in the flour. Remember, we don't put it all in at once because we have to make sure that it's the right consistency before we chill it. The weather, the humidity can affect the batter. and you want your batter to be the right consistency. So you might dump all of it except maybe like a half a cup. That's half a cup to a fourth of a cup is the amount that usually seems to make the difference. But as you can see, it's still, not very thick. After it chills, it becomes a little thicker. And so Krumkake is just one of the cookies that my mom would make at Christmas. We always made quite a bit. My parents were American Legion members, and every year we would put on a lutefisk dinner for the American Legion as a fundraiser, and my mother would make all the Krumkake for that dinner, and the dinner usually served about 200 people. And so she was busy making Krumkake, lefse, spritz cookies, all kinds of things. Every day I'd come home from school and she was busy making a different thing for the dinner. So now we have all the flour in there, and this time I needed the whole 2 cups, and now I'm going to chill it for 2 hours, and then we'll come back and make the Krumkake on the grill.
1.
Well, the batter has been chilling for about 2 hours, and the iron is not nice and hot, so I'm going to open up the iron and put in a nice rounded teaspoon of batter a little above the center of the plate. And this makes 2. So I put that in the middle, and I put it down and I press it closed. There's going to be a lot of steam that comes out, so you kind of want to watch the steam. And I usually count for about 10-15 seconds for the first few times to see what the temperature is like and how it's doing. My mother, when she made Krumkake, she had a grill that she used on top of the stove, and it was 1 Krumkake at a time, and she would flip it over to cook the other side. We got our first electric grill in the late 1970s, which makes it pretty much easier because you can make 2 at a time. So you can see it's still pretty pale. So it's not quite ready, so we're going to go ahead and push it. I usually hold it down too, even though there's a lock on it, because I want it to get nice and thin. You want the Krumkake crispy, and so by pushing down on it, you get that little bit thinner consistency. So in our family, to pass the tradition along, my mother started having a bake day in December where she would teach us how to make lefse, Krumkake, and all of those things. And anyone who can make it comes, and those who can't, we try to save a little bit on the side for them. But we make anywhere from 4 or 5 different types of cookies, and so now that my mom has passed on, it's kind of my part is to pass this on to the nieces and nephews and all of that traditional things, and daughters, and sons even. Let's see how we're doing. Yep, nice and brown. So now I take them out and I roll. And then I take the next one out, take my ruler and roll. So now we have 2 and we do it again. Put 2 more tablespoons in. And you can see that that was way past the 10-15 seconds, so I'm going to wait more like about probably 30 seconds for these. And when they get too big, you just scrape it off, pinching. Now when you roll these, they come off very hot, so you have to do it very quickly. When you're making it by yourself, you have to take one off, leave it on there, because if you take them both off at the same time, one will turn hard before you have a chance to roll it. On bake day, we have an assembly line. We have 1 person cooking, 1 person rolling, so we can get quite a few done in a short amount of time. I still marvel at the fact that my mom made 1 at a time, and so did my grandmother. And they would make hundreds. They would just make hundreds, and it was just not an easy job flipping that heavy iron over. And I will continue this process until the batter is done. And here's our finished batch of krumkake. It's about 3 dozen in the batch. In our family, we like to eat them just as is, but other families like to fill with whipped cream and then a dollop of either lingonberry or cloudberry jam. Either way, krumkake is a very special treat.